be fun. We'll let him do it someday.
It very much could be fun. It could be because it gives a little of the extra who knows what's going to happen factor to it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially that thing is freaking me out sitting in front of me.
It needs a name. And we need to introduce it to our audience.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the table decoration that my husband sat right like this over the camera. So this is
I think you should name it Fred.
Fred. They said we're naming him Fred.
I like this. Banish the winter horror. Send it my way. It's too warm down here anyways. All right, we'll put it to the audience. What should we name what kind of bird is that?
Pelican, I think.
No.
Seagull.
It's a seagull, yes.
Is it a seagull?
I think it's a seagull.
All right, name the seagull for us. Best answer will win.
So, what's its name? I'm going to sit here like this through the entire show.
You should. You just your little buddy.
All right.
All right. Serious time now. Serious time. All right. Like we're ever serious. No, we like to have fun. All right. Well, I see that we have people in the chat box. That's great. Welcome, everybody. This is another episode of Spilling Ink. We are the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals. We are professionals, yes? Yeah. Okay, we'll pretend we are.
We're doing a very good imitation of professionals
in the publishing industry. How are we doing this week?
We're doing good. I'm in sunny South Carolina, so I'm not in the negative degree weather up in New Hampshire. So I'm kind of happy with my seagull and I.
Oh, we got Bugsy.
Yeah.
We've got Sebastian. I like it. Yeah. I like it. Keep those suggestions coming in. And Kelly, welcome back. It's been a while since we've talked to you. How are we doing?
Doing great and so happy to be back here. It's always a fun time to join Spilling Ink and just talk about books and what goes on behind the scenes.
It's that fun social hour. You get to connect with other authors, your people.
I know it's great. You find new people that you didn't know were out there that are dealing with the same things you are. It's wonderful. So
a little bit stir crazy as we all are.
I'm going a little stir crazy because somewhere around the middle of last year, I said it's time to bring out this 4-book series that I've been sitting on for a while, or maybe a while ago, and I refurbished it and I updated all the references to cell phones so that they were current and modern and took certain things out, and then said, well, every 4 to 6 months we're going to bring out a new book. And I found that between a day job and a new book and publicity and everything else, I usually don't know what day it is. I don't know where I am, and I don't know what direction I'm going. So I hope, for the sake of your audience, that whatever I say makes sense. And if it doesn't, feel free to ask me to clarify.
All right. Well, let's start with that. With that. So you already had a book series out, and we talked about that the first time you came on the show. So now this next book series is visually very different. So I'm assuming the story genre is very different. Can you tell us about it?
Yes. So the original book series, the one that you've highlighted so beautifully along the bottom of the graphic, were my cozy mystery series that have the scientist turned sleuth who is learning the spy trade. And if you want to know what that all means, go back and look at the show that we did originally on that. Those are fun. The new series are romance series. And so it's a very different feel, a different level of sensuality. And each story there, although the world is consistent between the 4 stories, in each one you get a complete happily ever after kind of love story. Whereas in the mysteries, that romantic arc or relationship arc carries on from book to book to book.
Okay. All right. And they look really, really nice. I like the way that you've got a very uniform, a very on-brand scheme going, just like you did with the original series, which you kept that I love the whimsy and the color. These clearly are all part of the same series, but they are a very drastically different genre. How did you, we talked a little bit about it last time you were here. How did you finally settle on these images? Because I know these aren't the original.
Right. These were not the original images that we worked with, but at this part of my career, and given that I was trying to launch a larger series, I decided to hire a publicist and a publicity firm to work with. And one of the caveats that you need to know is that when you hire a professional, it's important to listen to them. And since I was paying good money for this professional, and they said that the original covers that I had thought were beautiful, and they were beautiful, but they said they're not on brand for the way major publishers are rolling out books at the moment. And here's what the major publishers are doing. And so they came up with several mock-ups and ideas that they liked for the book covers. And then we had some really substantive discussions between the designers and myself, because the first thing that happened, and those of you that joined us in the other show on this might remember, is that the designers thought that there was a more angst and darker theme to the books than I thought. And we had to work to bring back a little humor and to lighten things up. And so there were discussions where I felt really bad at saying, no, this is going in absolutely the wrong direction. And I felt like a wicked witch, if you will. But I also felt like a woman standing up for myself and doing what needed to be done for my career. And I've run into those bumps like that several times during this rollout. And it's important that as creatives and authors and other kinds of artists,
we speak
both
up.
listen to the professionals we hire, but that we also make sure that we're true to our own brands.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that conversation, and the Read My Lips cover is fantastic and on brand, as you say. You know,
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yep. Yeah.
So these are the two that are out right now.
Yes.
Okay. And when did Royally Scandalized come out?
So Royally Scandalized actually came out last Tuesday, the 11th of January.
Wow, well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, it's book birthday week. It's not even a week old. And I got a few sales on day one, so that was kind of neat.
Awesome.
Always nice
That
when you
is
get
awesome.
those. Did you do a pre-order for it, or did you just release it on release day?
I had a pre-order up for it, and so I think that helped. There were a few little hiccups in terms of formatting and turning some things around. So I had worked with a book and loaded it with LSI with Ingram first, and then I worked on loading it for Amazon, and I thought everything was set and all I had to do was turn it on, which I did. And then Amazon came back and said, your cover is wrong. And so that was the Sunday before the release day. And on Monday, I sent something to the designer and I said, Amazon says they need these specs for the cover. And here's exactly what they told me. I don't understand it, but please fix this. And so she turned it around very quickly. So by end of day, they fixed it and we got it back out. But I was sweating a little bit on that one.
Mm.
Oh, I can imagine, because Amazon is, if you do a pre-order, Amazon can be pretty unforgiving if you don't make your pre-order on time.
They only do the pre-orders for as far as I understand it, and I may be wrong, I'm still learning this part, but I think they only do pre-orders for the ebook, not the print. And that's why I did the print pre-order through Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
So ebook was set and ready to go, and that was fine, but it was the print book that was having a problem. And I think something happened with maybe the size of the book or something. These books, Read My Lips was about the same length story, about the same thickness or size of books as the mystery books. But each of the subsequent books in that series gets a little longer and a little longer and a little longer, partly because I'm dealing with a family of characters, and as they interact with one another, characters from the old books step into the new books and so on and so forth. And so there's a lot more going on, and it was hard to keep on target and trim those back. So some of them are a bit longer.
Well, that's okay. Long books not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Readers
I think the readers will like it. My challenge is to make sure that I can still deliver it in a form that they find economically advantageous, good price for them.
Yeah.
And yet I still get something. And
the balance
on the print books, that gets harder and harder. You look at it and say, well, I can't give a really I can't give the maximum discount to a bookseller. I would love to, but then I would make negative dollars, and that doesn't work.
Mhm.
And we're not in the business to give away our efforts and energy.
Anita just said Ingram and Amazon cover sizes for print are slightly different, and that is true.
They are very, very
same-
true, and they're millimeters off, which makes it ridiculous.
Yeah, same with Amazon and Barnes and Noble if you're loading directly to Barnes and Noble's print site. So that's what I do as opposed to going through Ingram Sparks. I load directly.
Okay.
And sometimes I have to change one and then change the other. It is a pain.
And I'm not an extremely visual person, and my skill set doesn't go in that manipulating photos space very easily. I mean,
No.
I'll make banners or ads or try to do something for myself, but that's not my comfort zone. So if they tell me there needs to be a change, I have to go to a professional and say, I don't know what this means, but I'll pay you to fix it.
Well, luckily they have provided templates, and there's a link you can go to where you can input your book information and the size, and it will give you a template, which you can then put into like a Photoshop, GIMP, whatever, and size it to their exacting specifications to make sure it works. And that's usually what they do. They usually take the cover and just size it up or down depending on what they need, because it is millimeters. It's not that much difference, but they are very strict about those numbers.
Yeah.
Very, very particular.
Yeah.
I will say that since I've been doing my own books and I've been working with both suppliers, it costs a little bit more to buy books at author price from Ingram, but the packaging is so much more consistent and so much better, and the books arrive in great shape. So I really am pleased with ordering books from them. Although one of the exciting things, and I've told you two privately, but I want to share it with the audience, is that in working with the publicity firm when Read My Lips came out, a subscription service actually purchased 300 copies of the book and paid me for them, so purchased. It really was a purchase. Now I had to have them shipped to me. I signed them all, shipped them back out, and I sent some special swag out with them. But it was really wonderful to get my books in front of 300 new people. And in that case, I went with Amazon because the shipping costs were part of my promotional budget, and I had to go with the less expensive vendor.
Cool. Which book box or subscription was it?
Book Reveal.
Okay.
It's in the Chicago area.
Those mystery boxes and curated just boxes of anything are so popular. They've exploded in the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah. I'm patiently waiting for something coming out to sign up on February 1st in that vein. So
here's the deal with hiring a professional for that. I had no clue that these things were out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the professionals are the ones that said, hey, we got you booked on this. And they got me booked on some other podcasts and different shows featuring different audiences with specific sets. And so that's really been something that I'm very hopeful will bear fruit eventually. It's been a great seed to plant.
See, now that's good when you find somebody that you can work with that you actually are seeing the results for.
Yes.
Well, the results are in terms of contacts, in terms of blurbs and blogs and guest posts and appearances, not yet dollars and cents. The place I do best in dollars and cents is when I'm face to face with a reader. And I love being face to face with a reader at a con, or my brother and I started a while back a flea market business at the flea market in Daytona Beach, Florida. And so when he passed away, I took it over and I focused on my books, and I have made book sales there, which has been quite fun. But again, that's face to face dealing with individuals, and how to mimic that same level of intimacy online is I think the trick, because I can connect with a person who's standing there who's a reader and get them interested or determine that they won't ever be interested. And that's all good.
Yeah, it's hard to do that online.
Yep.
And when I say results on publicity, I can talk. I'm talking about that they're actually getting you these engagements, because sometimes you sign up for a PR service and it's canned information, or it's, here's a list of things to do. When you actually get somebody who is in your corner and saying, hey, I've got you booked for this, I've got you booked for that, while it may not always equate to immediate sales, it is doing what they say they're supposed to do. They're getting you the publicity, they're getting you out
Getting your
there
name
so
out
that
there.
people can find you.
Yes.
And in that respect, sorry, my ears are oddly shaped and my earbuds keep falling out. So in that respect, they've done a phenomenal job, and they've been really very, very good to work with. I can't say enough about my publicist and the artistic team and everyone else, because they've been on top of it and ever encouraging and gotten me in things that I didn't know existed, and it's just been great.
That's awesome. That is good to hear. And you've got 2 more books that are coming out this year still. So
yes, later this year. So in Read My Lips, my character was a young woman who fell for the billionaire chocolatier boss who happened to be dyslexic, and she was working as a literacy teacher when they met. But I was smart enough to work in a best friend for her in that book. And the best friend actually appears and turns down a date with someone that the billionaire tries to set them up with. And it's the prince that she finds being royally scandalized. So she'll get a second chance at that date that she turned down. And for her, because I was taking a classic Cinderella story and I wanted to modernize it and update a few things, I made sure that she has a very large family. And my royal family is also very large. So there's lots of potential for spin-offs and continuity if the series continues.
All right. I like that. So you're giving yourself room to grow should you want to. And you're giving plenty of interaction and characters for your readers to fall in love with. Now, do you have a specific character that you that's a personal favorite for you right now? Or is it kind of like they're all your babies?
Well, they're all my babies, of course, and I love them all. But I will tell you, the book that's coming out next is called Reluctantly Royal, and it's the one with the cover has the long-haired student holding her notebooks. But this particular character is the younger sister of the one in Royally Scandalized. And
I was just going to ask if there was, you connected Read My Lips to Royally Scandalized. Did you connect it again? So you just answered my question.
And the thing that is really dear to my heart about this one is that I made the age gap between these 2 sisters very similar to the age gap between my older sister and myself.
Aww.
And so after I had written a bunch of these things, and of course they had traumas that we didn't have in our lives, but I went back, I was reading it, and I saw bits and pieces of relationships that I had with my big sister when I was a little girl. And I had somehow written that into the story. And there's a big storyline about healing a rift that happened between the 2 sisters, as well as their love stories. And so it's really special to me that it adds that element to it. And I know that's not the book we're talking about today, but I really, really like that one.
That's sweet. Well, of course, we're going to have a character that we really connect with. And I like that you have that touching you and your sister connection for that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the character of Grace herself, who's the awkward one who doesn't quite know how to flirt or how to make jokes and tries, but it always falls flat. That rings true to a lot of my adolescence and not being sure of myself before I somehow was magically granted confidence. And so that was kind of fun to write the reclusive, shy girl that had some of my issues too.
How many of us can all relate to awkward teenager?
Yep.
Awkward adult. Oh, Jane gets a pass. Okay.
Not so much.
It's
just
funny.
awkward.
One of the blog posts that I wrote, pardon me, was about why we love heroes in disguise, because in many of my books, I tend to gravitate, and I found this later, ones that I read and ones that I write toward a hero that isn't quite exactly what he seems at first glance. Okay. So there's a disguise element, and it made me realize that we all disguise ourselves. And some of the disguises, so for example, a disguise that I wear when I'm here on the show is successful author. and I look like I know what I'm doing, and I did my makeup and my hair and put on the crown jewels and, just try to do the whole thing. But underneath that, there's this scared little girl that says, oh, I bet everybody in the audience thinks the stuff that I like to read is silly. I bet they'd make fun of me if they really knew about it, and they'd be laughing behind my back. And so we wear these disguises, and yet underneath, that vulnerability is there. And as a romance author, getting to that vulnerability of the character, getting the character to open up and let that stuff that they're afraid of out is really, really important. And it means that we as authors and creators have to do the same. We have to open that window and say, here's the scared little me behind the great big image I've crafted.
You're muted, Jane.
Yeah, I know. I just realized that. I said, absolutely.
That was my earbud.
No, it was me.
And a lot of times. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I muted myself because the game's on the background.
Okay. Any good game highlights? No, just kidding.
No, not yet.
Which game?
Go ahead. It's still 0-0.
In writing too, I think we work through a lot of our problems. It's a catharsis in a way, where we can use that pain. We can give it to the characters, let them work through it, and we work through it through them. Again, I can't talk today for some reason.
That is so on the mark, Katie. That is absolutely true. I have a shirt that says, I don't need therapy. I just need to write.
Yeah.
And one of my mentors and a very, very good friend, Denise Swanson, will sometimes say to me, you need to go write and work out your issues. And she's a school psychologist. So I even have psychological professionals telling me, go work out your issues in the book. It'll be fine.
It is a form of therapy. I mean, Jane, you and I have talked about, you have a bad day at work. You take it out on your characters.
Slaughtering characters when I have a
kill somebody. Yeah. But we weren't talking about the kill somebody books primarily. But I do still have this long list of people that have annoyed me in real life that are either going to die or be a killer. In fact, I've got a whole new series planned for a bunch of them. It's going to be great when I
think the worst fate though would be to give somebody a character that is constantly going through misfortune. Just a background character that's constantly just getting crapped on throughout every book as your little Easter egg.
Fun. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
They never die, but they're constantly stubbing toes. They're constantly losing things. Just, work it out over time. You really get to feel like you.
That could be kind of fun. That would be an interesting one to play with.
Somebody like that in our next series, Katie.
Just a random background character.
Possibly fun every time they run into him.
Okay, so here's a story for you. You know that I traveled from the East Coast to the West Coast today.
Yeah.
And at some point, I ran over my own foot in sandals with my briefcase, which contained 2 computers and a bunch of cables. It was heavy. So for that character, definitely have that happen.
Yeah.
I didn't scream anything obscene in the airport, but I wanted to.
Okay.
I would have.
Were your flights decent, or did you have any hiccups?
So we got on the flight. It was decent, first of all.
Yeah,
but we got on and we waited, and they said, pardon me, ladies and gentlemen, we're not pushing back yet because there's a passenger issue. And I'm thinking, what the heck? And in the airport earlier, there had been an issue where all the sirens and the lights were going off, and they said, there's an issue here. Please stand by until we resolve it. And nobody told us how it was resolved. So then we got on the plane. There was a passenger issue. Turned out somebody was not feeling well, and they brought in a medic team, and the medic team said, honey, you shouldn't be on the plane. And so that person got off the plane, I think with another traveler, because then the 2 people in front of me got upgraded to first class. So we were late pushing back because somebody got sick or something.
Yeah.
Once in a while I get upgraded, but very rarely. I never count on it.
Yeah, we had.
Someday when I'm a rich and famous author, I'll get upgraded myself. I'll buy first class tickets.
Yes. Yeah.
Treat yourself.
Class. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on Wednesday when we flew here, we had 0 issues, and we were early. I have never had that on both flights.
Awesome.
So either that means this coming Wednesday is going to be a disaster.
Oh no,
or well, yeah.
It'll be fine. It'll be good.
Yes, exactly.
The universe gave you something good for once.
Yes.
Knock on wood.
And
There
knock
we
on
go.
wood. Knock
Do
on
you have any
Bugsy.
new name suggestions? I haven't seen any more name suggestions in the comments. So
I think
No,
it
we
should be
had-
Steven since he's a seagull.
Steven. Okay.
We were
Well,
talking
we
martial
should
arts
try.
earlier, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven Seagal. Say it fast.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, I
That's
just
funny.
figured I'd ask because I mean I know you're not jet lagged yet because you haven't gone to sleep.
that's right. And I'll be fine. I'll sleep through. I'll get up what seems like early for this time, but I'll get a good night's sleep. And I'm
Yes.
kind of used to doing it. I haven't done it for 18 months, but I used to do this transcontinental thing
Coastal,
every 3
yeah.
weeks.
Oof.
But it was interesting flying with masks, and it was not as painful as I feared it would be.
Yeah,
I had a
no,
little spacer that went under my mask that kept it away from my face.
Mm.
The worst part was that my face got hot.
Yes.
It's like,
And then you have to turn the air on you.
And it didn't work on the long flight. It only worked on the short flight.
Oof.
Well, it sort of worked, but not enough to cool off anything.
Right.
So anyway,
There's
other than that,
nothing
it was
fun
fine.
about flying. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing fun about it.
I got to sit by a guy that was coming here and said he was a professional musician, and that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
neat.
We
Neat.
didn't have any
Oh.
conversation after that because I fell asleep on my husband's shoulder and he started watching movies. So
How do
that
you
was the
fall
end of that
asleep in those
conversation, but it was still pretty
chairs?
neat.
I cannot sleep on airplanes. It's so uncomfortable.
That's the partner's shoulder, husband's shoulder.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah,
you're flying with
he rolled
kids, you're kind of like.
I had my puffy pillow and put it on his shoulder and leaned there. And to be honest, I pretended I was asleep for the first time before I actually fell asleep because,
Mm.
if you let them know you're not sleeping, they'll try to talk to you. So I
Mm-hmm.
was pretending to sleep and then I drifted off and it was good.
Good. Well, it's a long flight, so it was shorter because you slept.
Yeah, a little bit. And I didn't sleep the night before. I had maybe 4 hours total. So I wanted to be human for today. And I think
Famous last
I'm taking it pretty well.
Yes.
That's usually what you do. You set yourself up, and then Murphy's Law comes right in and goes, "No, that's not what we're gonna do."
Yeah, that's going to happen on next week. I've got to handle that issue separately. I'll handle it tomorrow.
Oh no. So now, what brought you to the West Coast? Was it book related or work related?
Neither, actually. It's family related.
Oh.
So my husband's family is here, and he's been out to visit his mom a couple of times this year, and I haven't gotten a chance. So it's our belated holiday celebration with the family. My mother-in-law and
Nice.
sister-in-law. And mom is dealing with the dementia issues, so it slips and slides, and it's she knows us all and everything. That's fine, but we really wanted to get out here and spend some time. And because I wanted work to pay for my rental car, I did say I would drive down to San Francisco and pop into the office to see my colleagues and do some other work out in the field up here in the Sacramento area. So that's it.
Okay, so
And
a
no
little bit of
book
work.
stuff at all, except today's interview.
Now, are you guys going to celebrate as a family for the book release? Do you celebrate your book releases?
You know what? That is a brilliant idea. And no, I don't really do that. I should.
I think as authors, we do for like the first book, and then after that, it kind of becomes all right, next.
Yeah. Well, that's me. It's like, okay, it's out next. it's like the.
But when you think about it, you've slaved over 60 to 80,000, sometimes 100,000 words. You've worked through revisions, you've worked through the edits, you've done the homework and everything that goes to get that book ready. You deserve a little celebration for it. It's not just, next and move on. You've got to, treat your book like you want other people to treat it, right?
And that next and move on is unfortunately a thing that many of us have. It's like, oh, I reached that goal. Now I got to get another goal because I'm goal oriented and driven that way. And so it's important to stop and remember that. So I will do some celebrating when I get back home over this book. we toasted it over dinner one night and did a little bit of a low key celebration. So I didn't totally ignore it.
I mean, I do think it's important that we recognize the achievement, because even though we may have written multiple books, it's still a large feat to put together a book and get it from the idea in your head to a published, bound, available in the open market book.
You know, a sideline to that is something that and I know a lot of authors turn into the show and talk about things. So we tend to forget how absolutely special and memorable it is for a reader to have an interaction with an author and get a signed book. I mean, at some point in my career, I said, yeah, everybody signs their books, so what? But I forgot that that's really what readers love and treasure. And so it's important to remember that.
I mean,
I love that part.
And, that's what as I said, I'm waiting for February for the same thing, because it's a special edition signed. And I'm like, I have it ticked on my calendar. Like, I want the 4 books. So it's like, it's been a long time since, as an author, I've gotten this excited about getting a signed book. You do tend to forget that. You do tend to forget the fangirling going on,
We do. We peek behind the curtain and forget to be readers first and fangirls and have all that giggly excitement over our favorite author releasing something new for us.
I mean, the same goes for us too. When we get to interact with a reader, like, at an event, a book signing, whatnot, and they're excited to meet us, I think that kind of helps to add a little, pep in your step as an author too. Somebody loves my work. Oh my God.
So I went to the Book Lovers Con in Orlando in December. And for those of you that remember Romantic Times, it used to be a large book featured event. Well, Book Lovers Con was its successor.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, I didn't prep this, so I didn't stick names in my head to pop them out, but it was a wonderfully run conference, and Joe Carroll, who ran it, did an awesome job. But my first night there, I stopped and I said, I'm going to say hello to this person who's a stranger to me, but she looks alone and I want to make sure she feels welcome. And so I did that. And she found out I was an author, and she's a reader who was there, and she had another reader friend there. And these 2 lovely ladies practically adopted me. They said, we want you to have a wonderful time because we want you to come back. And yes, we're going to get all of your books, and we really can't wait to know more about you. And at different events, they would drag me onto the dance floor, and they friended me in social media before I even fell asleep that night. And it was just, it was amazing. And they were so generous and kind. And I just really enjoyed that side of it. That was pretty neat.
And
so
it
shout out
helped
to
make the experience for you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's now ingrained in your memory. You've got a good feeling about that. That's something you want to return to. So it's good on both ends. It's good for the readers. It's good for the authors. And I at least think we should recognize the hard work we've done. Even if we've written multiple books, we need to stop and give ourselves credit, because a lot of times we just don't.
No, I'm very bad at that. You know that.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
okay.
It is work. It's not easy to write a book. It's not easy to slog through the edits and the rewrites and all the notes you get back. Sometimes they're a little bit spicy, and sometimes they're you want to argue with your beta readers, but you go through it, you do the process, and you make something that you can be proud of. So definitely we need to take that time. We need to remember that ourselves. And this goes for all of you out in the audience as well. All those authors that listen to us on a regular basis, all the new authors, give yourself the credit when you do it.
And all the readers that have day jobs doing things, you have accomplishments too that you need to celebrate and not discount. And as an author with a day job, point taken for me, I need to do some celebrating. And in fact, I think I need to open a bottle of champagne when I'm down in the corporate office this weekend, because we had a patent that came out on December 21st, and we need to take a moment and say, this is a cool thing.
That is a really cool thing. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. That's my other hat, but
Yeah, I know. But
sometimes it sneaks into the books, and then I have to edit out all of that techie stuff that I had so much fun writing. I'm like, no, you don't need a reverse osmosis machine on the island kingdom that you go into detail about. Blah blah. Cut this part out. Allude to something else. So
the day job kind of drifted in.
it did. Well, and this is the Reluctantly Royal that's coming up with the geeky scientist character as a heroine. And what she doesn't understand is that her prince is also a geek. And he's a scientist as well. And so when they discover it and they start talking to one another, they can go off the rails and go a little too far. And then the author has to pull them back and say, all right, you two scientists, that's fun, but the readers don't need to know all of that. You close the door on that stuff. Open the door and everything else. Interesting. Vivid, evocative, but close the door on the geek talk.
Yeah, well,
flavor here and there is okay.
Yeah, sprinkle of it, but it's like garlic. If you overwhelm it and you taste nothing but garlic, then you don't have a good dinner.
I don't see a problem with that.
Overly garlic, huh?
I love garlic. But yeah, you want to have the nice balance. You want to keep it personality, but not overwhelming.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it was fun. I mean, I have all the anti-money laundering where I'm working because I'm in a broker dealer. So it was fun to create a character that launders money. So it was just
right. What you know.
Yeah. Well, I don't launder money.
Or do you? No,
I don't.
You wouldn't admit it if you did anyways.
So I'm reading the comments a little bit. I want to reach out to Rebecca out there who says she's fixing a blown hot water pipe and remind her that water treatment is my day job. So I feel your pain, dear. I'm sorry that you're dealing with that.
Plumbing problems are the worst.
Dealing with it at home is wild. Compression fittings. Compression fittings are your friend.
Yeah, I was going to say she's been doing way too much since she's been given the go ahead. Yes, I'm talking to you, Rebecca.
She knows. She knows.
Yep, she does. I tried to get her to sit down.
I think we've all told her she needs to relax. She needs to rest. She needs to recuperate.
Yes.
We don't remember how to do that. I've totally forgotten how to relax. If I have a spare minute and I'm sitting down, I need to do something with my hands. If I'm not multitasking, it feels wrong.
Yeah, you sit down for 5 minutes, you're like, wait, I'm guilty. I shouldn't be doing this. What should I be doing?
And I took time off at the holidays, and when I went back to work, I couldn't get my head back in the game, and I didn't know what I was doing. And
it took like 4 or 5 days to get back. Like, yes, because I checked out. You probably checked out for the day job too.
Yeah, that totally happened. And I think I checked out from the writing job at the same time, and some review things slipped, and it was a cluster of events.
Yes, but you had a good time, right?
I did. I had a lovely time.
That's
I probably needed the time off more than I needed the extra reviews, although reviews are nice, and I hope those people actually come back and put them up somewhere.
Yes, please, review.
Please love me,
reviews.
I think we're all guilty of that too. Begging for reviews from anybody. Please, dear God, please read it. Post something.
Well, not anybody. You want your ideal reader if at all possible, because if you get a review from someone who isn't your ideal reader and was expecting a completely different genre, you could be really sorry what you got. It can be eye-opening.
But you can use those to make sales. I've seen some authors use some pretty slapped reviews that that wasn't her target their target audiences, and to use that in an ad, it helps and was
I tried to do that at one point. I put up a really negative review up against a really positive review and said, what do you think is true? Why don't you decide? And it was a small target audience. I didn't get the engagement that I hoped for, but maybe we'll run something on
absolutely
an Amazon or a Google ad and see what happens.
Now, Anita says that she's been doing YouTube writing sprints. So I want to ask Anita, I know you're listening, what channel are you doing these on? Because that's a great way to get involved. And we've talked about doing group, like Facebook groups, other social media group writing sprints, but doing them on YouTube. And I kind of want to know how they manage that.
Yeah.
Is it just a running live stream with a timer, or is it... I'm interested in this. This is a slightly different method that I'm used to with sprints, but sprinting is a great way to keep yourself, in writing shape. And
yep.
And getting that word
spew
working for you.
Yep, that 20 minutes you can get something
Shut
down.
the editor off. No editor, just vomit the words on the page.
Yep.
Clean it up later.
Exactly.
And sometimes those bits are better than you thought they would be. You overthink it.
Oh, yeah.
You end up writing way more than you expect yourself to. Like, most writers, you go, okay, I want you to have 500 words in the next 30 minutes. And they might go, oh, geez, 500 words is a lot. It's actually not when you're in the zone.
Right.
That 30 minutes passes and you could have, up to 2,000 words if you're really going, and you shut that editor off that stops you and makes you pause and rethink the sentence you just typed.
One time I was in the zone and I wrote 40 pages. And I'm like, I was emailing a friend at the end of that, like, I'm on a writer's high. I don't know. You should talk me down. I think I'm going to crash. I don't know what to do next.
Just keep
They weren't all crap either. They were okay pages.
Yeah. The other night, I think it was Monday night, I wrote 4,000 words in a night.
Nice.
Which for me, and that was like 3 hours of writing, 4,000 words. And I was like, oh, I'm in the zone. And I looked at it because I didn't know how much I had written. It was just flowing. And it was just like, oh my God, that is such a great feeling. As you say, it's a high. It's like, whoa, 4,000 words.
And if you have more time, continue on, write some more. Write until you're done, until your brain goes in, we're empty.
One of my friends early on was saying something. She said, oh yeah, that moment where you're in the flow, it's better than sex. And all the writers went, yeah, it is. Thank God our husbands weren't there. They would have been wondering about us.
I believe it.
In the zone, producing is just an unbelievable kind of high.
It is. You're in a totally different headspace. And it feels good to work that muscle and get everything out and to create and visualize. So it is a wonderful experience when it's working. Yeah. So Anita says, Margaret, she's the one running it. So we might have to put a link to her channel in our show notes after the show, because I think I have seen her say something about that. I need to stop in and take a look at these.
Yeah.
And they do a timer, which is perfect. So you've got, an accountability right there. You know how much time you've got. And once you get to that breaking point, everyone gets a chance to kind of reset, breathe. Mm-hmm. So I like that. I'm going to have to check her channel out, and we will put her link in our show notes today after the show, so that way you guys can find it too.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you.
Very cool. Yes, I like writing sprints. It's I haven't done them in a while, but every now and then, I get in a group or I join a chat group that does it, and then I get out of it when I'm done because I don't want to continually get things in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. But especially when I'm slow and I have deadlines, that's when it's like, oh, can somebody sprint with me, because I know I'll get stuff out. I know I'll get the words.
There's that element of competition too that I think plays towards your favor when you're in a group that's writing, because if at the end of the time, it's like, okay, how many words did everyone get? You don't want to be the person who got the lowest word count. You want to be either somewhere to the middle top, so that you're like, hey, speak of the devil. Look at that. Yes, Margaret, we will put your YouTube channel link in our show notes at the end so that people can find your writing sprints, because I think that's a wonderful idea. I love that. And Anita says that she has been checking out the whole AuthorTube community. I have not actually delved into AuthorTube. I feel like it's kind of almost a scary term, because you don't know what you're going to go into, but it's probably worth checking out.
Yep. It's like book talk,
healthy competition. Yeah.
Yes.
Healthy competition. Exactly. So yeah, we definitely need to put that in there, and I need to check that out as well. But have you guys looked at AuthorTube at all, or kind of delved into what AuthorTube kind of encompasses?
No.
I'd never heard of it before today.
Yeah.
All right. So we're all,
our
homework assignment is to go look it up and figure it out.
The only thing and back to working with a PR firm and such, they said make some short videos. And so I do have a YouTube channel now, which is kind of cool and kind of fun. And there are videos about how I did my research on my different books, and a little bit about my office, and one about my cat, and, just fun stuff. A sad thing happened. One of the videos was talking about how I got that big pink Z as part of my logo in my name.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because there was another author with my same name, different spelling, when I joined a writing group that I was in. And she just passed away last week. So the other Kelle Riley, is no longer with us. And that's very sad to me. And now every time I see my Z, I think of her and think that we are less for having lost another one.
Yeah.
On a lighter note,
cats good on AuthorTube.
Cats are good anywhere.
Yes.
Except on the keyboard. They are not good on the keyboard, and all of my typos are because my cat walked on the keyboard.
Sure they are.
Especially if it says blah, 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 blah. And sometimes my work emails say that, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we have something at work that we call, because we have a system that takes things in free-form text, and we call it the cat on the keyboard text. Because it, sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. It's the cat on the keyboard. You okay?
Okay. Speaking of that, I have to make a comment here, and because we're all authors, have you ever had this happen to you where you're talking to somebody through a text-based form, so chat or messenger or whatever, and they're like a relatively new friend, associate, whatnot, and they find out you're an author, and then all of a sudden they start over-editing anything they type to you because they're worried you're going to judge them? I've had a few people like say that to me. I'm like, please don't, because there's a reason authors need editors, because we make plenty of mistakes.
Yes,
don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they do. I know. I'm in meetings and they're like, writer, we need how to say this. We need your skills. But I look at it and I give them the different alternatives. But it's funny. It's like, we need the writer.
And sometimes our writing skills segue really well with what we're doing at the day jobs, and sometimes they just don't. It's like, no. Ask somebody else
to write that. I write fiction.
Well, one of my first bosses said to me, "Why don't you write science fiction?" And I said to him, "Do you really want to wonder if my research reports are made up?" So,
that's funny.
He didn't have a response to that. But yeah, there's the thing.
Okay, I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah, sure.
No, I think the worst is when they want you to write like a product descriptions or things like that, because you're a writer. You can just rattle this off and then you start crying, because writing summaries and synopses are the worst things in the world.
Not what you want to do. Yes. Yeah. I can write you a 50,000 word description.
50,000 I can do. Don't make me write under 500.
And I need to add emotion into it and character growth. I know it's a shampoo bottle, but still character growth, right?
Exactly. You know, one of those Dr. Bronner's bottles by the end of it with the itty bitty type.
Totally different skill set than the fiction writers and world builders.
I just wonder sometimes with like the misconception, they hear you're an author and instantly they envision something about you without verifying it at all. And then you've now become this thing that maybe you were not.
What I love are the commercials for these memory supplements, and everybody there is like, and we're authors. We're not just retirees bicycling on the main coast. We're authors. I'm like, yeah, you are. Sure you are. So
you're bicycling.
I need to read a Lush cat. I like Lush. I need to see what this fantasy is all about. I'm going here after the show.
Hello.
Oh, there's my son.
Yeah.
So he's not at his dad's this weekend. He and Zoe stayed here because Dad got COVID.
Okay.
Your COVID Murphy's Law thing keeps going and going. It's a gift that keeps giving.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So that's like their subtle hint of, Mom, I'm bored, but I'm not coming in to bother you because you'll yell at me.
What's worse than writer's block? A blurb. That's funny. I like that one.
That's horrible. It's true though. So true.
Yes.
So true.
So
Yeah,
I once was asked to speak at a group to talk about interviewing and something with kids for whatever reason. And I said, think of your life as this whole book, this whole manuscript. And I pulled out a sheaf of papers that was about the thickness of a manuscript at the time. I said, now think of turning that into a 5-page query letter, and then think of turning it into a 1-minute elevator pitch. This is what you have to do with your life when you're interviewing for a job. And you have to step outside of yourself and look at your life and break it into those pieces. And I would say harder even than blurbs is bios. How do you feel out there, authors, about writing your own bios?
Do I have to?
Stink.
I don't know. I do it,
and I feel like
mine
I'm
is short
so
and
fake.
sweet.
Yeah, I keep that one short and sweet. Because I prefer the book to sell itself. If you like me, great. Follow my other books, but the book is going to sell itself, and so I always spend more time on the blurb than anything else. And
I like blurbs. I think they're fun.
Well, Katie and Rebecca are my blurb sounding boards. So I write it. I'm like, or I've been staring at it for days, and then I'm like, hey. Yeah, have your best.
These are some great things. These are great comments here.
Yes, excellent comments. Bio funny, okay, Hunter. Or excuse me, Night of the Kids Table.
Yes, Night of the Kids Table. That is a good one. Have your bestie write best. Write your friend, write your bio.
As long as they don't write anything incriminating, because they know all the secrets usually.
Yeah, they know where the bodies are.
We did an exercise once where we randomly, someone said, bring in page 5 of your current manuscript. And she just picked a number out of the air. And we sat together with 3 or 4 others and each read one another's manuscripts. But your team, after they read your manuscript, was to come up with 3 words that they thought you were evoking in that random piece of your writing. And that was a branding exercise where we didn't do it ourselves. We let someone else see what we did. And that was really, really beneficial and eye-opening. So I would recommend that to anybody out there trying to find something that encapsulates your writing style in a quick soundbite style nugget.
It's easier though, I think, to be objective about other people's work than ourselves.
Yeah,
I'm an argumentative person, so I could see somebody going, "Well, this is what I got out of it." I'm like, "Well, you totally missed the point. It was supposed to be."
and that's why having other people do it for you works so well. But you had to trust them too, and you had to know who they were so that they could filter in some of that.
Comps, yes, I love comps.
Oh, that's hard.
I like that.
My goal when I write now is to evoke emotion from Rebecca.
Which one?
Jonesy.
No. Which emotion are you trying to evoke?
Surprise or tears.
Ooh,
or
that's
getting
hard.
her mushy.
You picked 2 hard ones.
I have done it.
Go with laughter. It's so much easier.
Yes. So it's like, okay. So, I'm ready. That's in my mind.
Yes, make the people want to read the book. Who's your character? What is happening to them? Why should we care?
Yes.
Josh was saying that last week. I like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But then again, there's always but what about this character who's really important too? And they're playing a serious part in this. It's so
And
hard to put it
no,
down.
later.
Boil,
That's
it's like
that's
boil
the
it
treasure you
down.
find while you're going for
Smack
the
the
regular
hand.
book.
Boil it down.
You already
Boiling
wrote
it
the
down
book.
is
You're writing the
hard.
synopsis or the blurb or something.
I'm better at doing it for other people's books than my own. You know, if I've read somebody's beta read, I can, and they put up a blurb or synopsis that is all over the place. It's really easy for me to go in there and go, nope, this is important. This is important. This is important. This is what it should be. And I've done that a few times.
But it's easier to be that objective when it's somebody else's work because you're not emotionally tied to it.
Right. It's not all in your head.
Mm-hmm.
The entire lives that are on the paper and off the paper are not in your head.
And your reader knows, especially a reader who's also a writer, knows what's important and what's nice to have, but not absolutely necessary for that appetizer course or whatever you want to call it. That free sample or
and that's a good thing to include in like beta readers. When you reach out to beta readers, guide them with some instructions of what you're looking for. You know, you can ask things like, what was the most important part of the story? Who was the most important character? Because then you can gauge from them what they were picking up.
Yeah.
And if that matches what you were either hoping for to utilize, to focus on, whatever, as you go in and write your synopsis. I'm not saying it'll make it tons easier, but it might make it a little.
Right.
Nothing makes it easier. You just have to do it.
No, and it's always fun when you have, your book notes to the side and think you've incorporated them, but you have not. So it's like, poke holes. Oh, yeah, well, I know what that is. It's not here.
It's not there. Yeah. But that's why beta readers are our best friends, because they get to that before readers do and post bad comments. They go, hey, fix that.
Yes,
yep.
There is a big gaping hole. You need to patch it up.
But beta readers are also great for helping you brainstorm how to patch that hole. When I write myself into a corner, there is one particular reader-writer friend that I call on and I say, I'm stuck, help.
Mm-hmm.
And she always comes up with brilliant ways out of the mess I've written myself into.
Or when you're, at a crossroads and you have two ideas.
Yes.
Which one should I do?
Which one should I do? A or B?
Yep.
And sometimes I do the opposite of what they say. But most of the time I do the same.
But yeah, having that sounding board, whether it's the beta reader, another author friend, it's so helpful. And Jane, I've reached out to you at the oddest hours of the night. I'm like, hey, I need help.
And most of the time I answer you at the oddest hours of the night.
That 3-hour difference works for us because I'm usually super late at night and you're getting up for the morning. So it's perfect.
And I look at that and I'm like, okay, I know she's, in her head space. So I got to answer her. And I know how urgent it is at the time in your head, when you're stuck there.
Yeah.
It's always urgent when I'm supposed to be sleeping and my brain won't let me.
That's the creative hour.
Yep, exactly.
Like one time I had gotten up and I'd written something and I felt really good about it. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I went, oh my God, they have to go through customs when they re-enter the country. I didn't account for that. And I couldn't sleep till I went and wrote that into the book.
Yep. Yes, Rebecca
should have killed one person or 18 people.
That's right. Pretty much.
Us. Jane, is this about a story?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Always about a story, right? Plausible deniability, people.
We would never kill anybody in real life. I mean, I sometimes introduce myself to people before I tell them I'm an author. I go for the shock value and I tell them I'm a serial killer. And I get some odd looks. I say, but only in books, So
fictionally speaking.
Yes, literally speaking.
Wow. I don't use that one really often because I'm afraid I might use it on the wrong person.
Yeah.
I like to say people pay me to lie to them.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Yep, I make
professional liar. Hey, Margaret, nice to meet you. Thank you for coming
Margaret.
in.
Thanks for stopping by. And I will definitely
you.
get your link in those show notes. So give me about 10 minutes after the show to update our notes, and we'll make sure that link is in there.
Cool. Sounds like fun.
Yes, Rebecca is setting up her plausible deniability.
Yes.
Everything is fictionally speaking.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for hanging out with us and telling us about your work, your new book that just came out, and the 2 more that are about to come out later this year.
It's been a delight. Thank you for having me again. And I look forward to joining the fun later and playing some more and talking with the wonderful people that come in on the chats and just having some great times together.
All right. And you make sure that you go out there and celebrate your new book release.
I will. I promise. I'm going to start as soon as we shut down. I'm going to go pour myself something celebratory and toast it.
Awesome. And we didn't get a name for this guy.
Oh, shoot. The name. The name.
Actually, in
I
my
know.
bio.
I'm pulling it. Yes.
I'm going to leave it open. I want to get some more comments on it because I think we need a little more creative name suggestions. So if you're watching this afterwards, put it in the comments below.
Yes.
Let us know what name you think we should give our little
Name
seagull.
Good. Yeah, get those creative juices going on the seagull name.
All right, guys. And thank you again to all of our wonderful viewers. You guys, we love you. We enjoy hanging out with you guys every week.
Thank you.
We'll be back soon with another author to introduce you to and some more fun conversation. Until then, everybody stay healthy, and we'll see you then.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.